Alright guys, we've got a packed episode today. Jon Jones is firing back after Dana White publicly suggested he's basically retired. Charles Oliveira responds to criticism from Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz after his dominant win over Max Holloway. And we've got a massive UFC White House card announcement that's already dividing the MMA community. Let's get into it. We're starting with a moment that honestly feels pretty surreal in the MMA world. One of the sport's most bitter rivalries has finally come full circle. Back in 2019 at UFC 239, Jorge Masvidal delivered that unforgettable flying knee knockout against Ben Askren just 5 seconds into the fight. It became the fastest knockout in UFC history and instantly one of the most iconic moments the sport has ever seen. But fast forward several years later, and things look very different. Over the weekend, Askren revealed that Masvidal actually traveled to Wisconsin to visit him at his home. The two sat down, had dinner, and talked things out. Askren even shared a photo online explaining that after everything he went through recently, he realized life is simply too short to hold grudges. According to Askren, the conversation ended with the two former rivals burying the hatchet and even forming a friendship. Considering the history between them, that's a pretty remarkable moment for MMA fans who watched that rivalry unfold. But while one feud is ending peacefully, another fighter is dealing with a tough setback in his career. Former Bellator bantamweight champion Patchy Mix had a rough night at Rizin 52 in Tokyo. Mix was hoping to restart his career after leaving Bellator and struggling in the UFC, but things didn't go according to plan. Japanese prospect Kayoma Akamoto completely overwhelmed Mix, stopping him early in the second round with a barrage of strikes and soccer kicks on the ground. For Mix, this loss raises serious questions about his future. Not long ago, he was widely considered one of the best bantamweights outside the UFC and even finished his Bellator run as champion. But since leaving that promotion, the momentum has disappeared. He went winless during his short UFC stint, was released earlier this year, and now his attempt to reset his career in Rizin has resulted in another tough defeat. Meanwhile, in another corner of the fight world, a conversation about fighter pay is getting attention. Boxing promoter Eddie Hearn recently revealed that he was shocked when he learned how much UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall earns for his fights. During a vlog posted on Aspinall's YouTube channel, Hearn explained that when he heard the numbers, he nearly fell out of his chair. Hearn claimed that if Aspinall were competing in boxing instead of MMA, he could potentially be making 10 times the amount of money.
Talk through Tom Aspinall's purses, I nearly fell off the chair. Do you know what I mean? Because I know that if that was our business, it'd be making 10 times as much money. His return is going to be massive when it comes. And as an organisation, they need him. Forget he needs the UFC. He actually don't need the UFC now. But they need him because they need heavyweight stars on stars full stop. And he's a young man that goes in there and entertains.
Now let's move over to a bizarre moment inside the cage involving former bantamweight champion Cody Garbrandt. Garbrandt finally returned to the win column, but the way it happened was, well, unusual. During his fight, his opponent repeatedly landed illegal low blows that resulted in 2 separate point deductions. Those deductions ultimately swung the scorecards in Garbrandt's favor. At one point, one of those shots was so severe that Garbrandt actually had to vomit into a bucket before the fight continued. But the biggest headlines this week revolve around a massive announcement from the UFC. During the broadcast for UFC 326, Dana White officially revealed the fight card for the historic UFC event set to take place at the White House. The main event will feature Ilia Topuria taking on Justin Gaethje for the undisputed title. Meanwhile, in the co-main event, Alex Pereira is moving up to heavyweight to face Cyril Gane for an interim title while Tom Aspinall continues recovering from eye surgery. The card also includes several major matchups: Sean O'Malley vs Ayman Zahabi, Michael Chandler taking on Mauricio Ruffy, Bo Nickel facing Kyle Daukaus, and a featherweight bout between Diego Lopez and Steve Garcia. Interestingly enough, Even some of the fighters themselves didn't know about the matchups until the announcement was made. Justin Gaethje was sitting at the commentary desk when the news broke and admitted he had no idea he was officially the main event until that moment.
Official, you're headlining with Ilia Topuria for Undisputed. Congratulations. That is huge. You didn't reveal the news when you came and sat with us earlier. We won't take offense, but...
No, I didn't know. I wasn't sure.
No,
you didn't know. I was not sure.
Hold on, you're saying that when they made the announcement, that was a surprise to you.
That was 100% confirmation that I was the main event. I didn't know that. I didn't know who the co-main event, or if I was the co-main event, or who the other fight was at the time.
I should have known something was up when they came in my ear. They said, ask Justin 2 questions. Don't talk about what's next for him. Don't talk about the next fight. Don't talk about the White House.
Sean O'Malley also revealed that he had been pushing hard to get on the historic card. According to O'Malley, he repeatedly told the UFC he would fight absolutely anyone just for the chance to compete at the White House.
Fighting GSP at the White House. I just kidding, I tricked you guys. The fight name is a hobby. I told UFC I would love to fight at the White House. I will fight anybody at the White House. I will fight Ilia. I will fight Islam. I will fight Khabib. No, but for real, I said I want to fight on the White House card. Please let me fight on the White House card. I don't care who it is. I want to be on there. I want the opportunity to, I fought at the Sphere, which is really cool. The White House, I think there's 6 fights on the White House card. There's me plus 11 other people that get to make the walk from the Oval Office. That's what they're saying. You walk from the Oval Office into the White House lawn. Crazy how secret this card has been. I knew about this literally only like a week ago. I don't know who the main event is. The fight's gonna be outside. Our family's gonna be able to come. Like they're saying how many millions of dollars they're spending on security alone. We're gonna go out there and beat the fuck out of this guy. I go out there and win this fight, I'm next in line for a title. I actually wanted to fight. I really was like, yo, let me fight Peter at the White House. They didn't say that. They said, nah, man. I was like...
And for fighters like Diego Lopez, the opportunity is a dream come true.
So I feel amazing. This is a great opportunity for me. I worked so hard for staying the big cards in UFC. Now UFC sending me the chance to fight the White House. Yeah, this is a great opportunity for my career, for the future. I tell for my family, my brothers, my friends, like, yeah, when I stay in UFC, I fight in the great cards.
However, not everyone is impressed with the lineup. Lightweight contender Arman Tsarukyan criticized the main event, claiming the fight between Topuria and Gaethje is pointless and predicting that Topuria would knock Gaethje out easily.
Ilia versus Gaethje is a good fight, but no chance to Gaethje. Ilia has a better boxing, and I think he's gonna knock him out. They just waste time, waste my time. They gotta put me versus Ilia, and I'll take his belt, and easy money for me.
Fans online also had mixed reactions. Some praised the idea of the event, while others felt the card didn't live up to the massive hype, especially with major stars like Conor McGregor and Jon Jones missing from the lineup. Speaking of big names, let's talk about the UFC 326 main event that already has the MMA community arguing. Charles Oliveira defeated Max Holloway in their long-awaited rematch, dominating the fight with his grappling and controlling large portions of the bout on the ground. The win secured Oliveira the BMF championship, but many fans were expecting a wild stand-up war between two of the most exciting fighters in MMA. Instead, Oliveira relied heavily on his jiu-jitsu, which didn't sit well with everyone. Conor McGregor mocked the fight online, calling it shockingly bad and suggesting Holloway should have done more damage from the top position. Nate Diaz also chimed in, dismissing the fight and claiming that the BMF belt is actually his. Several other fighters criticized the performance as well, saying the fight didn't capture the true spirit of the BMF title. But Oliveira wasn't about to stay quiet. During the post-fight press conference, he fired back with a bold challenge.
A luta contra o Conor, já falei que eu fazeria essa luta, podia ser de 70 ou de 3, não importa, porque conseguiria dar muito dinheiro, ou pode fazer um GP, coloca os dois no mesmo dia e vamos ver o que dá.
I said, listen, I want the title. I want that lightweight belt. I've said this all along. Let's wait for the fight at White House, and that's what I want to do. But you want to put him 170? You want to put him up there? I don't care. If you want to put him a middleweight, we do it. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you what. If you want it, make it a Grand Prix. Just put up 2 fights same day, see what happens.
Now let's move to the biggest controversy of the week involving Jon Jones. During the post-fight press conference, Dana White was asked why Jones isn't fighting on the White House card, and his response raised a lot of eyebrows. Dana said that Jones was never seriously considered for the event and even went as far as suggesting that the former champion is basically retired due to ongoing hip issues.
Never, ever, ever, which I told you guys 100,000 times, was Jon Jones even remotely in my mind to fight at the White House. I wouldn't. I've told you why he wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. Some guy with meta glasses on filmed him talking about his hips, that his hips are so bad. And I don't know if you guys saw that flag football game where he can barely run. He's got arthritis in his hips. Doctors say he should have hip replacement. Add that on top of all the other reasons that I wouldn't. The Jon Jones thing is bullshit. I'm not saying they weren't talking to Jon Jones and that Jon Jones wasn't interested in the fight. And what was even crazier is Jon Jones came out and was like, I'm in negotiations right now for the White House fight, after I had already sent a text to his lawyer saying, never going to happen ever.
Is it fair to say then Jon Jones is retired and this is the end of his time?
Yes. Very fair.
But Jones immediately pushed back on social media. He questioned why negotiations were happening behind the scenes if the UFC had no intention of booking the fight, even suggesting that he might need to be released from the promotion if that's the case. And finally, Dana White also gave a quick update on Conor McGregor's potential return. According to Dana, while the UFC is still in contact with McGregor, they're not even close to booking his next fight.
McGregor obviously tweeting a lot today. Wasn't very impressed with the fight. Says, if they want, I'll spank Charlie. Obviously about Charles Oliveira. Is there any update on Conor McGregor?
No. But we are definitely talking to Conor, obviously.
But there's no timetable. You're just okay.
Not even close. We have no date for Conor right now. Not even close.
Dana also admitted he's currently unhappy with Arman Tsarukyan following his involvement in a recent altercation at another event, hinting that the situation could affect future matchmaking decisions.
Thrilled with Arman right now. And there's a lot of different reasons. It's not just the stuff that you see publicly. But yeah.
Care to elaborate on any of those reasons?
No.
Obviously, Charles just won the BMF title. Justin and Ilya are fighting at the White House. There's that one guy in the division, Arman Tsarukyan. He had an interesting weekend in Tempe last weekend. What did you make of that when you saw those antics, and where does he stand in the division?
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it. But, that night, that was somebody else's problem, not mine. But, yeah, that's really all I got to say about that. But, the division's heating up and lots of fun fights to make, and we'll get Arman figured out.
I know you spoke about Arman just now, but he was in talks with Hunter Campbell about potential fights with Gaethje, Volk, and the winner of this fight, which ended up being Oliveira. I wanted to know what you think makes the most sense for him.
What's the question again?
For Arman, I know Arman said he spoke to Hunter.
Yeah, got it. I don't know.
So between Jones clapping back at Dana, Oliveira responding to critics, the massive White House card announcement, and old rivalries finally ending, the MMA world has been absolutely buzzing this week. Let me know what you guys think about all of it. Was Oliveira's performance against Holloway actually boring, or was it just smart championship fighting? And who would you rather see headline that White House card? Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more MMA news.